Suze?
Yeah.
I love it. I really do like it.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it. It can be a little complicated.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
Agreed.
little nuance thing here. So we did a first look video.
Mm-hmm.
It came out earlier today.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you what I really think.
Here we go.
No, I didn't want to put this criticism because I think this is a little more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to point out, this is, how do we think this thing's really going to get used? Like, there's a capability set, and then there's how the thing gets used.
Sure, yeah.
So let me throw out there like a good example of this. The original ToneX pedal, the big ToneX, I don't think has been appreciated as a pedal modeler.
Oh, right.
I think almost the whole community has just talked about amps.
Sure.
I've seen very little talk of, I actually put my favorite drives on this thing.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that was that unit's $399.
Right.
And a lot of pedals are less than $399.
Yeah.
So it would seem a little silly to buy a modeler that does pedals when the pedal is cheaper than the modeler.
Yeah, so it can have your Tube Screamer and your Timmy.
It would be like buying a big ToneX, just a ToneX pedal and being like, finally I can capture the sounds of my Fender Frontman 12.
Right.
Which is a 150, right? It's like
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense. I think this opens the door big time. Like, what are people really going to use this ToneX for? I think this opens the door for multiple ToneXs to appear on boards. I think the worship guys who bought 2 ToneXs, there's a lot of them, they're instantly about to buy 2 of these.
Yeah.
That's not going to change. Those guys are going to run stereo. I think there's going to be a lot more people who just have this as a utility on their board.
Yeah.
And they have it doing a couple different things and some sort of drive sound. You take advantage of this EQ. But realistically for me, the first thing I wanted to do when we started playing around with this was I wanted to get my label maker out. And I wanted to write amps on one and drive on another.
Yeah.
So that I didn't have to look down because, look, the color coding is a thing. Kemper just did the same thing. And it's interesting to see 2 manufacturers sort of arrive at the same solution of like, if we don't have a screen, let's let them have colors that indicate.
Yeah.
Now, this thing does a ton. There's very little that this thing can't do that the big unit does. You can hit Alt, you can get to all the stuff. You got gain and volume right there. It's brilliantly designed.
Yeah.
I will never put 20 things I want to hear on this pedal.
I would not either.
Meaning, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the reality. I would have been, just personally, I would have been very happy if they just put 4 slots.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
kind of the way they built it, I actually really, I want to applaud them for this. The way the software, we'll show this little clip of the software right here. Because they gave us, here's your A, here's your B for when you're in dual mode. You can go between A and B on the amp. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Or on and off, you can have this one. Because they did that, I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to set it up in one of those 2 modes and I can see exactly what I'm going to put there. Yes, you can change it. Yes, you can do other stuff. I would just as soon buy another $179 ToneX One and put 2 drives next to each other than I would reach down in the middle of a song and try to change my drive.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So realistically, that's how I would use it.
Yeah.
I'm going to write amps on one, drive on another.
Yeah.
Because I never want to.
This only gets drives. This only gets amps.
Yes.
So you know what's on there.
Yes. And I see we have the colors, dual is green.
Right.
And then this is on off, so it's orange.
Yeah, and I mean, you could make the drive colors the same as the amp colors by accident, and then looking down, it's just kind of like you would have to know what all of them meant.
There's not 20 colors.
Right, you got to repeat them.
So you have to repeat the color. So having 20, like we were trying to well, what did we end up doing? There's 20. We put some of the ones we wanted as the first 4 and the last 4.
Right.
Because we knew we could bring it all the way to one side, and then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I know my 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side of the dial. And then it was like, or the other 4 we want, go all the way to the other side. And then it was like 1, 2, count how many times the color changes. Imagine trying to get to 13.
Yeah, where's 13 on there? Yeah.
It seems so.
It's 2 down from the 3rd red.
Well, right. And we were talking about how would you navigate that, and it's like, well, if all the colors are in order, red, blue, green, orange, purple, red, blue, green, orange, you can just count. I hit 1 red, 2 reds, 3 reds, 4 red. I can't do that.
I know.
Which
maybe says more about us than it does the pedal, but
do that.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? So I think in in some ways, this is so bonehead simple. You set it up and there it is. It just operates super simple, which I applaud.
Which I'm thankful for.
Yeah. I think they could have actually taken a little bit away from the capacity to put things in here, and it would have made it even simpler. That's just me. How are you going to use this?
So to me, when I saw this, that it was coming out, I thought, oh my gosh, take the big one off my board and put these two for stereo amps, because that's, great, to have that capability in a smaller footprint than a full ToneX. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, of course.
But the other thing that's really great about this, and to your point, you could have done this on the big unit as well. But when I'm not using the ToneX as an amp, I'm going into the Kemper, I'm going into a tube amp. These all of a sudden become any drive in my collection,
right?
And I can,
good point. Yeah.
And I could just rip it off and put it somewhere else. I could put it first in line. I could put it at the end of my drives, and I'm probably less likely to do that with that big ToneX unit.
That's a
These
good
can
point.
Go anywhere.
Yeah, this is very easy to add onto the end of your board.
Yeah,
it's also easy to add off your board. Let's say you have a pedal board, you run into an amp, and you go, I got to go direct. You just take it. It wouldn't be a big deal to have one pedal sitting off the side of your board. You just get a little cable and do it.
Yeah.
With the big unit, you're right. You would want to secure it. It's a little large. You could have done that also. But, dude, I even saw people, I think, Bradford of Worship Tutorials, he has, or maybe it's Brian, he has a second board just with two ToneXs.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that, and I think they got Dysos on there and stuff.
It's basically a little amp.
Yeah. It's basically a little amp. Like, if I want to add this to my end of my pedal board. Yeah. With a handle and covered in Tolex and stuff.
Really heavy.
Yeah. So, this is easily added on.
I think having two really makes a lot of sense, because you could have either 2 amps in stereo, or 1 amp, 1 drive going into it, or 2 drives. I think any of those scenarios are great to have 2 of them, and they can serve multiple functions.
Totally. I think this is a brilliant product. I really do.
Yeah.
And it fits right into this. It's the same software. It recognizes which one you've got. It's not a separate piece of software.
Totally. This is the product that a lot of people wanted from Kemper. A lot of people wanted from Line 6. Is just a little amp. I don't want the effects. I don't need all this like crazy complicated stuff. Just give me, in this case, either an amp or a drive. That's it. I want to turn it up and down. And I want it to be small. So, and the price point, man, is like, I think they crushed a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it gets a lot more people into the ecosystem, which I think is the point.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. It's, we did this software, it got some traction. Then they put out the pedal, and to make the pedal a really great value, because it wasn't a cheap pedal. It was a very competitively priced pedal.
Yeah.
It was cheaper than a lot of other things. Cheaper than the UAs.
Totally.
And stuff, So but to really make it feel like a value, they gave you the basically $300 software with it.
Yeah.
So it was like you were paying almost nothing. You were paying $100 for the pedal if you count the software as being worth that full amount. So they threw all that in. Now at $179, you don't get the Max software. You get a version of it that is working. I forget which level you get, but it just doesn't have all the collections that are in the Max. For good or bad. You might be using those, you might not be.
Yeah.
There's tons of free stuff at this point, and you can use this. Brilliant. I think it's going to grow the ToneX market.
Yeah, for sure.
Place a lot, and I think ultimately they've gone this way. They can't go any more this way.
Yeah.
The next product is bigger. It's a full board.
Oh, I think so.
I thought the next product was a full board. Was going to be this
with all their effects.
Yeah. With some amplitude stuff built in.
Yeah. I bet you a lot of people, this will be their first digital amp that they buy. If they have been out of the game or sort of looking from a distance, I bet you a lot of people will try. Hey, for under $200, I'll try that.
Used, what do you think these end up going for? Just as people buy and sell stuff and whatever.
Yeah, $125.
It starts at yeah, that's insane.
Really insane.
Watch out, Joyo.
Yeah.
Who was competing down there?
I know.
TC Electronics, maybe.
And you have what would you estimate the number is of amps available for ToneX now? Is it thousands and thousands?
I think they publish it. It's got to be over 10,000.
10,000.
I think they say capture, so some of it might be pedals or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's up. It's on ToneNet, on tone.net. I can't remember, but they say it when you log. It's just an astronomical number.
You mentioned the UA pedals, or even like the Walrus, audio one, the ACS one. Those have a finite amount of pedals or finite amount of amps. These, sky's the limit. Hop on the software and play whatever you want and put them on your board. So.
Yeah, and really nobody else except the Quad Cortex is really giving you the opportunity to capture sort of unobtainium pedals and use them in your rig.
Yeah.
The QC has it, and you can house it in your QC. You can put captures with other captures.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like you have a drive pedal, and it's kind of like you do that. That's why there's a lot of capture, you know.
Yeah.
I think our Klon on the QC is like the most downloaded pedal on the QC
That
cloud.
was a big deal when it came out too. Yeah.
The Klon, and I think one of the I think Rebet has the highest full preset, but one of the like the third or fourth highest is the 65 Deluxe Reverb that we did. But the Klon, one of my Klon ones is like the most downloaded
the pedal
QC
capture,
ever. Most downloaded. There's not really, apart from that, which is in that QC ecosystem, there's not another unit that says I capture drive sounds, I model drive sounds and put it on a pedal board.
Yeah.
Which I think makes us super unique.
Yeah. If you had 10 drive pedals, you could capture 5 of them and sell those, and you'd still basically have the sound of a setting or two or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
and imagine you didn't buy that JHS taco bolt, but you want to try it.
Yeah.
You know, a couple weeks after, you know, some knucklehead like me who did buy it is going to go capture it. We're going to put it up there.
You want to hear it?
Yeah. And there's going to be people, and there's going to be people who are like, here's how a Klon sounds. And there's going to be people who go, here's my vintage fuzz. Here's my this. Here's my really expensive this. Here's my, you know, you ever wonder what an Ibanez Sonic drive sounds like? Like I saw it on Reverb. I wonder what it sounds like.
Right.
Why is it going for $400?
Yeah, this becomes a drive pedal audition platform. You can try whatever's available.
It really does. And you know, you don't need mics and stuff to capture a pedal, so you can be kind of reasonably assured the person probably did it. They just plug it in. So there's not as many variables with an amp and stuff. Yeah. So
it's really cool.
It really, in that way, sort of democratizes, I think, the overdrive market. All of a sudden, these just become, you know, I wonder how that 1981 sounds.
Just type it into the search engine.
Type it right in, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's probably how I think a lot of people are going to use it. I think it's gonna. I don't want to say change the game, but they're gonna, like I said before, they're gonna sell a lot of pedals.
They really are.
So you want to play us out?
Yeah.
We're on this beautiful sound. It's a Marshall 18 watt, and I turned up the gain. And do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just turn. If you like the sound of something, it's like I could turn up the gain. Oh, it's not accurate. It's not accurate.
Right.
Just shut up. Play the guitar.
It sounds
great.
Yeah.
You know? I've been HW.
I've been Seuss.